God's ways of doing things is beyond man's ability and intellect. He can use anyone as his vessel to accomplish his purpose, no matter who you are or what you've done. This is the story of a man who was given to all types of drugs, promiscuity, and even rubbed shoulders with authority in the wrong ways, and still never saw the need of reaching out to God.
The enemy started targeting me at a very young age, because I remember I began smoking before I was around the age of 10, and that's the first time I remember I picked my first cigarette. We were living just opposite the influence that influenced me, because we were living beside pubs. When I could see people smoking, and I was admiring what they were doing, and this caused me to have a desire to try and see what is this thing that they smoke and they throw the smoke outside, and I wanted to have an experience of that kind of life. And I remember when I picked my first cigarette, I puffed it, and I felt a buzz for a little while, and it was just the beginning. Because I believe it was a loophole that the enemy was to graduate and take it to another level. So at the age of 10, I began smoking. I remember it was around the age of 12 where I lost my virginity with our house girl. And that's how now I was experienced to life, and I began now desiring to even live ungodly life. And I remember now it got worse.
But God is able to transform and change anyone. God saved him from all that, and now he is a new creation, and the old is gone.
It got to this level. There was a place now I lost everything. I became homeless. I was in the streets of London. There was times now I was sleeping in the winter time in the cold streets of London, standing all night in the phone booth, whereby because of the snow during winter time, my legs would turn to be like a stone. But I still was surviving somehow, because I always tell people I met the love of God before I met the God of love, because it was the love of God that was keeping me even when the devil had desired to destroy my life. Now it got to a place now, it was a place now whereby I lost all my veins. I had no veins. All my veins disappeared because of injecting every day of my life. I remember now I began to try and inject my legs and my groin, because I had nowhere to inject. I injected my necks, all my veins disappeared. Now, if I saw someone with veins, I would be jealous of them. I would feel like injecting them and somehow the drug to travel to my body, because it was a place now of desperation. And that's why the Bible tells us that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And I remember now it got to a place whereby when I had no veins, we began to skin pop. Skin pop means injecting under fresh. Anywhere you would find some fresh. That's where we used to inject the heroin. And now it got to a place now I became desperate. I needed a change. I tried to kill myself. One day I was 96% dead, only 4% alive. And I remember they took me to King George's Hospital there in London, and they were waking me up with electricity shocks because my life was gone. And the doctors, it's like they were doing experiment with me, because I was a homeless man. They didn't care. Even if I died, nobody to bury me. They didn't. We didn't have no hope. I was wearing ragged clothes. I didn't have even a change of clothes. I didn't have an address. I was just surviving.
Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Can't give up now.
He is now a preacher of the word, traveling around the world and reaching out to the people through his Man of God International Ministry. Pastor Joseph Njuguna is also married to a beautiful wife, Sophia Njuguna, and are blessed with lovely children.
God has blessed me with a beautiful family. My wife, Pastor Sophie Njuguna, and we have a beautiful daughter, Prophetess Abigail.
The man of God was really a strength to me, praise God. He actually pulled me closer to God. He taught me how to be a woman of prayer, how to be a woman that waits before the presence of God. I remember when we got married, you know, sometimes us women, when we get married, sometimes you have that kichwa ngumu. But he was patient with me, praise God. He kept praying for me. He kept laying his hands on me. He kept prophesying over me. He kept telling me that I can do it even when I didn't feel like I can do this thing. He kept, I remember days when oil was running over my face, praise God, because he kept prophesying. This is truly a man of God, praise be to God. And through that, I became the woman that I am today, because of the words of love and the words of patience that the man of God
Make a
spoke
date
over my
to
life.
attend his
And I even
preaching at Man of God International Ministry in the UK and around the world and experience what God can do.